Today we're going to talk about pigs and pearls. Something you always think about in together, right? Now, today we're going to look again at the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapter 7, or at least we're in that part, Matthew 7, verse number 6. The New Living Translation reads it this way. Don't waste what is holy on people who are unholy. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. They will trample the pearls and then turn and attack you. Interesting. Very interesting. You know, you don't want to throw pearls, or that is spiritual truth, before swine. This isn't calling people pigs, but a image of what happens when truth is given to someone who isn't ready to receive it. Most of the time you'll see someone doing wrong, and if you try to tell them, it'll end badly. Jesus is telling the disciples the best thing to do at times is to keep quiet. I don't know about you, which is harder, keeping silent or saying what you think? I think it depends on the person. When we look back in light of what we had just studied last week about judging people and seeing what they're saying, how they're living, if you have a spiritual truth that somebody's not ready for, and you give it to them, they won't receive it. I've often said somebody wants to worry about trying to get somebody to stop their bad lifestyle. What they need first is Jesus, and then Jesus will help them overcome that problem. Telling an alcoholic, you need to give up drinking. Well, that may be true, but if they're not ready to receive it, you're going to be in trouble. You go down to the local bar, stand up in the middle of the crowd and say, you all are both so stupid for drinking like this. Depending on what bar you get into, you'll either end up in jail or you're going to end up in the morgue. Maybe the hospital. In jail because inciting a riot, I think, is a crime. In the morgue because they may kill you. They're not ready for it. Now, the morning after, when they're on a hangover, they might be ready for it. Jesus isn't saying that we don't give truth. He's teaching us there's a right time to give it. And there are some things that are precious in our spiritual lives that need to be ours. There are people I know who've experienced miraculous things in their lives. They don't make a big deal sharing it because they know that there are many people will not accept it, will not understand it, and then will use it to attack them. So they wisely keep it quiet. And Jesus is saying, especially in light of seeing other people's sins, because remember, he's just talked about once you've cleaned out your own eye, then you can help somebody else. Now all of a sudden he says, don't take what is holy or truth and give it to those who are unholy or those who aren't ready for it. There are people who aren't ready. They aren't ready for that truth. And if you try to shove it down their throats, they will react badly. They will attack you. Jesus is saying here, there's a time to speak and a time to be silent. I think there's something like that in Ecclesiastes too. There's a time to share something. There's a time not to. As it says in Ecclesiastes, there's a time to speak and a time to be silent. There's a time to sow and there's a time to reap. There's a time to sow together. There's time to tear apart. All of these things, there is a time for it. And Jesus in this scripture is saying truth, or what is holy, some people aren't ready for it. And if you give it to them, they will destroy it and then attack you. Now, this can be used as an excuse to say, I'm waiting for the right time to share the gospel with my neighbors. And that can be just that. It's an excuse because you're not willing to take the chance to open your mouth to talk to your neighbor about your relationship with Christ. But I've also seen people do the exact opposite. They have no filter. They say what's on their mind whenever it happens, and they wonder, why are all these people attacking me? Why is everybody so upset? And it's like, you threw pearls at them. Yes, it was truth, but they weren't ready to receive it. And if you give pearls to pigs, if they're thinking, hey, you're giving us food and you don't have food, they're not going to be happy. Again, Jesus isn't saying that people who aren't ready to receive are pig people. He's trying to make this point that they're not holy. Now, pigs were, in the Jewish system, were unholy, unsacred. They were unclean. Even today, Jewish people don't eat pork. No bacon for a Jew. Because it's unclean. And Jesus is trying to say, if you try to give something that's precious to something that's unclean, they won't receive it. The Apostle Paul tells us in his teaching, he says, when you're dealing with people who aren't believers, he says, we don't judge those. We judge those who are within the church. We look out for one another, but we don't deal with those out there. Those out there, they're on their own. But when you're in the church, we take care, we look after one another. What is this? When it comes, especially when we look back at what people are doing and that idea of judging what they're doing, and if it's right or wrong, there are people who aren't ready to receive it. And if they're not ready to receive it, you need to they're not ready. They're not ready to receive it. Someone who doesn't know how what you're like, if you go up and say, just announce, I'll use this one because it's a hot button subject. Your lifestyle is wrong. How dare you say that? They don't know you from anybody. They're not ready to receive anything from you. But if they see that you are faithful in your life, that you love them, you care for them, that you treat them right, and they say, what do you think about this? Then you have that opportunity to say, I understand that people have this way, but I don't believe it lines up with Scripture. And here's why. What happens here? All of a sudden, that person is not in the attack frame. They're ready to receive. In our lives, we need to be ready to make sure people are ready to receive before we open our mouths. Consider that the next time you're ready to criticize somebody or say something to somebody. Next time you're getting ready to post something on Facebook, say, do I have the credibility to share this to them? Nancy Pelosi doesn't know me from Adam. I can't go up to her and say, this is what you need to do. Why? Because she doesn't know me. I don't have any credibility with her. Now, if I go to my mom and say, hey, Mom, there's something going on here. I'm not sure about it. All of a sudden, we have credibility. We have a relationship. If I go to a friend and say, hey, I see something wrong here. Oh, I have credibility there, and I have a place that I can share. But with somebody I don't and doesn't know me, the right thing to do again, this doesn't mean that if you disagree with somebody, you need to just take it and be quiet. But it does mean you need to realize what you're getting into, and that perhaps you need to be quiet. because it's not the right time. Someone put timing is everything. And it really is, especially when giving truth. God bless you. Keep doing right. Keep looking up.